Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. First up, our Nightbeat. For a quick look at today's top stories, the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students is expected in court tomorrow. Newly filed court documents show the prosecution claims that Bryan Kohberger's alibi does not meet the legal standard for admissible evidence. Last month, he submitted an updated alibi saying that he was out driving the night of the murders. The prosecution argues the alibi is just too vague. Sometime in the future, a judge is also expected to decide whether to move the case out of Latah County.
Now, face away from me, you're going to start walking backwards.
New video shows the moment a teenager was arrested for allegedly opening fire at Chief Gary Park last night. 18-year-old Hunter Simmons is one of 2 suspects police say fired shots at the busy park. This all went down while a Little League baseball game was happening. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Simmons appeared in court today facing drive-by shooting charges. Police say an argument broke out among a number of young people on the southwest side of the park. And police say the 2 suspects drove up and started shooting and then ran from the scene. Officers tracked them down to Euclid and North Crestline. They arrested both suspects and say they found a gun in the car. Police are not naming the other suspect because he is a minor. Crews demolished a piece of Spokane history this morning. Mary's Place, built back in 1906, sat across from Sacred Heart Medical Center. Its owner, Mary, famously refused offers to sell her house during construction of the hospital. As a result, the medical center was built around her house. It's been an icon in Spokane ever since.
But for all of us around here, I worked at Sacred Heart for 25 years. Just to see it coming down is a sad day.
Mary died in 1991, and earlier this year, her family sold the house to the parking company Diamond. Plans submitted to the city indicate they plan to turn the space into a parking lot. And that was your Nightbeat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. New tonight, the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department is asking for information on a house fire they believe to be arson. Crews responded to the fire last night at around 10 o'clock. They say it took more than 4 hours to put out the fire and secure the house. When Spokane County Fire District 4 investigators visited the scene this morning, they used an accelerant detection dog to determine it was likely intentionally set. They don't know who set the fire or why, but if you have any information that might help the investigation, please call that number right there at the bottom of your screen. Well, tonight we are learning fire officials ruled yesterday's deadly house fire in Newman Lake an accident. Firefighters say the home was entirely engulfed in flames by the time they arrived in the afternoon. They say the fire spread to 2 nearby homes and surrounding trees and brush. One man was found dead inside. His identity has not yet been released. All right, switching gears to talk weather. Tonight, temperatures are dropping just to pick back up again tomorrow. Let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo. Jeremy, sounds like we have some at least nicer weather in our immediate future.
Well, I think it's kind of nice, but hear me out on this one, Mark. We wake up to a cold Thursday morning. 48 degrees right now, doesn't seem all that bad, but I saw a few people walking with big puffy coats on when it was 50 degrees earlier. So, you know, it's all in the eye of the cold of the walker. I don't know what that saying is right now. I'm making stuff up. Temperatures fall into the mid-30s for us here in Spokane, but parts of the region under that freeze warning. Freeze warning in effect until 9 a.m. tomorrow for lows dropping below freezing. Does include Spokane and out in central Washington. These are the areas where our growing season has already begun, so those temperatures take a dive. It's a much cooler one. But look, as we move through the remainder of the evening, things tend to be a little bit calmer. We'll see a few stray showers tomorrow afternoon, not near as widespread as today, and most of those just kind of dissipate up in the mountains. 63. We're calling it isolated sprinkles Friday, mostly sunny and 67. Saturday, clouds increase, rain returns late, and then we're talking rain on Sunday. I've got your Bloomsday forecast coming up.
Free Palestine! Bang, you can't hide!
Chanting and holding signs in support of Gaza. Today, more than 100 protesters marched on Gonzaga's campus. The walkout was led by a group called GU Community for Justice in Palestine. They echoed national calls for GU to disclose the university's investment portfolio and study abroad programs in Israel and cut all ties with companies that support Israel.
We made our demands more concrete. It was less about spreading awareness because people are aware at this point, and it was more about getting them actually to take concrete action that can spark real change in Palestine.
Gonzaga University released a response to their demands today, saying in part, quote, the administration will share these requests with the university's Board of Trustees and Investment Committee.
As well. So this is, there's maybe a Roman candle that just got, or something, a firework that someone just launched as well. So yeah, wow. I mean, look at that.
The protest on Gonzaga's campus just brushed the surface of the national turmoil that has taken over other college campuses. That was a moment caught on a chopper camera above UCLA late last night. Counter-protesters launched fireworks at pro-Palestinian demonstrators as the tensions escalated into fights. At the same time, police moved onto the campus of Columbia University after students occupied a school building. Today, the encampment that stood for more than a week is now clear, but in its wake, George Washington University and the University of Texas are among the latest colleges where protesters have set up encampments.
This Labor Day, wage is among the most important issues that should be tackled.
On top of the nationwide campus protest, millions marked May Day by marching through the streets calling for equality in the workplace. Workers and activists rallied for change across the Middle East, Asia, and in Europe. We are tracking a new major housing development in Spokane Valley. The Saltis Creek development plans include 400 living units. Construction is expected to start soon, but as KREM 2's Amanda Rowley shares, neighbors are not thrilled about the new development.
These 80 acres are now the Saltis Creek development. City permits say developers plan to build 10 apartment buildings with a clubhouse and about 80 luxury homes. The development will be located south of I-90 on property previously owned by the nonprofit Good Samaritan Society. For decades, the property sitting northwest of the Saltis Flats wetland area remained vacant, except for the wildlife. Permits for the new development are currently under review, meaning they haven't been approved. But developers Cedar and Sage Homes says construction on the 320 apartment units is expected to begin as early as the end of this month. The homes will be built into the hillside south of the apartments, but we're still at least about a year out from seeing them start to take shape. Ken Lewis helped list the property for sale 3 years ago.
I think the best thing about this property is its convenience and that view. So it's very close to the freeway, it's close to the Valley Mall, and it's close to the state line.
During my time spent at the site today, I was approached by several neighbors in the area. They say they love this untouched, vacant land and the wildlife that come and go through here.
I've been just enjoying there are owls up there. I love hearing the coyotes. I know deer come down.
Well, their ears must have been burning because these deer raced by as I talked with Jennifer LaRue, who's lived here for 20 years.
I'm not thrilled about the idea of them building here. You just saw those deers run by. They need a place too, and it's just not really fair.
Her neighbor Tom Smith has lived here for 3 decades.
35 to be exact.
And the biggest reason why he's stayed?
This behind me.
He too appreciates the wildlife and nature here, and Tom worries how things might change with the new housing.
The traffic is just going to be, insurmountable.
Developers say they've heard these concerns from neighbors about the impacts with the development, but they recognize there is a need for housing in the community, and they want to help. In Spokane Valley, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
And here's what we are working on for you tomorrow night on KREM 2 News at 6. An exclusive investigation after several Meade High School football players are accused of assaulting their fellow teammates. According to police, it happened last June, but wasn't reported for 8 months. KREM 2's Whitney Ward talked to those closest to the victims as they ask why it took so long for the school district to take it seriously.
It started off with some hazing. The hazing had went from verbal and racial remarks all the way up to an assault or multiple assaults.
Make sure to join us for our in-depth investigation tomorrow on KREM 2 News at 6.